like I Spy or something.
It's 4 o'clock in Los Angeles. You know what that means. Actually, it's 4:02. I almost forgot to start the show. It's time for Taxi TV Live. Yeah, baby. This week with special guest star Judy Stakee. Yay! When we get together, we have so much fun just hanging out and yakking. We're sitting here talking and talking and
what are we doing here?
Yeah, time to start the show. So, hello, and welcome back.
Hi, thank you for having me back.
Always good to have you back. Judy was here, believe it or not, it's been almost a year. It was last July. So it's been like 10 months or something.
And it was a holiday, which I planned it again, that it's,
that's
out for
right,
Easter,
yeah.
So there wasn't as much traffic driving here usually.
That's right. It was coming up on July 4th last time.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I timed it perfectly again.
Notice there are Easter eggs over there. Mia, who used to work
they're
here,
all over
comes.
the house, actually. I mean, all over the place. All
Yes.
over the office.
A former employee makes any holiday deserves candy, so she always comes by with stuff, and we all gain weight. Hannah, can you move the air conditioner up about the one on the right, about 1/8 of an inch?
Hannah is our live audience today.
Right. That one.
Okay.
There you go. Perfect. But how much did you move? Just like 1/8 of an inch, right?
I think so.
Okay. Kid really needs to go to more schooling. 1/8 is like this much. Anyway, okay, so a lot of you guys have met Judy before. She's done road rallies. She's taught classes at road rallies. But I've got to say that she is one of the true champions of songwriters and artists. For 30 years you've been in the business?
Over 30 years now.
And for 20 years, she was VP of Warner Chappell Music.
Yes.
I'm going to have you do the short version of the Sheryl Crow story for the people who didn't see the show last time, because Judy will say, no, would have happened with me or without me. But no, it happened.
It definitely happened with me. It's kind of one of those moments that definitely kind of defines you, though. I had worked at Screen Gems Music for 3 years, and had met Sheryl through Robert Kraft. He was producing. He was producing like Johnny Mathis and Bruce Willis at the time, and Sheryl sang backup for him. So he called me because Sheryl.
Bruce Willis was making.
Yes,
records?
he made a record.
Wow.
Yeah, when he was doing Moonlighting, he made a record, kind of a bluesish record. That.
Oh, that's right.
Blues
I
Brother
do
kind of
remember
thing.
that.
Yeah. And Sheryl wanted to make an album, and she was looking for songs, and so she came over and listened to songs, and we immediately bonded. And she was on the Michael Jackson tour as a backup singer, and so she went off doing that. And every time she came into town, we'd get together. And after a while, it was like, she started showing me songs that she was writing, and just started helping her with that. And we spent a year together, is what I figured it out. I had left Screen Gems, and I had 8 months off between Screen Gems and Warner Chappell.
Okay.
So so when I signed her when I got to Warner Chappell, but in those 8 months,
she was your project.
I was looking for a job, and I was helping Sheryl, managing Sheryl really.
Well, that paid off.
On the side, yeah. So that paid off. So when I got to Warner Chappell and signed her to a publishing deal, and then got her a record deal over to A&M, and the rest is kind of history.
But you never gave up. Number one.
Never gave up. The talent that I have, I believe, is that I can definitely recognize talent. I can recognize star talent. There was something about Sheryl. Sheryl had a presence in a way with other people. It wasn't just that she was great with her songs, is that she could carry on conversations. She was personable, she was charming, she was intelligent, she just had a je ne sais quoi. It was like something that when everything works, she has great melodies, she has a great voice, and she has great lyrics. She tells wonderful stories, and it all works together. And when you have that, it's easy to develop. I mean, the reason Sheryl worked so well is that Sheryl listened to me.
Well,
for a year.
A lot they fight you every step of the way.
Every single step of the way. And with Sheryl, it was like, Sheryl, I love this section of the verse, but I'm not crazy about the chorus. Let's work on this. And it was just that. It was just me being a mirror for her whenever she needed it, whatever came up.
You obviously gained her trust, because you're not going to just listen to anybody. You obviously... I know you know a lot. They don't know you as well. Here I am. Right. They don't know you as well as I know you. But yeah, she's voluminous. there's literally no question that you could ask Judy about music, songwriting, the industry, that she wouldn't have a great answer for. So obviously Sheryl saw that quickly and learned to trust you, and why not?
Right.
So.
I think every single person in this world, no matter what you do, no matter if you're a boy or girl, or fat or small, or whatever you do, if you're a bricklayer or if you're a musician, everybody needs a coach. Everybody needs somebody in their life, a mirror, to be able to say, hey, am I doing this right? That somebody that will say, hey, you're doing a great job, let's keep going, you're going in the right direction. Everybody needs that, and that's part of the job. I think that's part of leading somebody in that direction. My job is to lead people to their careers and lead people into their dreams, is to give them the tools and show them a map of how to get there. I'm not there for me. I'm there to give them what they need in order to build what they need to build.
The fact that they trust, well, look, I've known you for close to 20 years, I think, and I'm always amazed. I can be with you for 3 minutes. We can go a year without seeing each other, and it feels like it was yesterday. So that's your je ne sais quoi. It is. You've got that talent, and that's what it takes to be a great coach. I know so many artists and songwriters, creative people, generally think that a coach is good for golfing. Oh, Tiger Woods, 12 hours a day is swinging the club for 20 years. He needs a coach. Right. Baseball player, hit 1 million balls, need a coach. When it comes to music, no, it's an art form. You're either born with amazing talent or you're not. And I think that you only need a reasonable modicum of talent and an incredible desire to learn, and then somebody to coach you.
Right.
So that's your role.
Absolutely.
Coach
that
Judy.
I have created. And the industry just provided that, because when the industry fell, 8 or 9 years ago, I left 4 years ago, Warner Chappell, so I've been on my own for a while now, but it has afforded me and so many other people to follow what their true talents are. At Warner Chappell, this is what I did, but I also had so many other responsibilities.
Yeah, businessy stuff.
So much business stuff that I had to do, which I really did not like. That it took me away from the everyday of development and creating, and teaching these, teaching my clients how to do this. And now that I get to do it 100% of the time, I think my success rate actually goes up.
Gone up.
So yeah.
Well, I know what publishers do. You have to sit down. What do you call the document where you sit down and analyze your quarter and see, how much money each writer generated?
Budgets, your financial budgets, your forecasts, your...
Yeah, that stuff alone, I remember when
that'll make you drink right there.
Right.
Absolutely.
So how can you do that and be this almost like mother figure, coach to these people? It's two very different hats.
Oh, it's completely two different hats. Yeah. And it used to not be so much so. And then, when the industry, when everything started like falling apart and, the accountants took over, everything got much tighter. So, every penny was accounted for. But, I really was very, very lucky, knock on wood, because most of my writers, at one point it would come to money, but at the most part, I was never paying any of my writers an enormous amount of money, because they were beginning. They were staff songwriters. Even Sheryl, I never gave her a lot of money at the very beginning. When she started making albums, of course she got advances, but at the very beginning she got a songwriter salary, just like everybody else. And it was enough so that you didn't have to work at McDonald's. It was enough so that you just could go 100% of doing what you needed to do, because in the first couple of years, especially in creating what you want to create, there's so much to learn. If you just graduated from college and you wanted to be an architect, the first year would just be like, I don't know what are this whole new language, of like parallel lines and
build a skyscraper now. No, I can't.
No, because there's so much foundational stuff. So it's the same thing with songwriting. It's just I don't think anybody's ever taken the time to really look at it, and because I loved the teaching part of it, and I ran summer camps for Warner Chappell for 7 years or 10. I don't know, it was about 10 years I think I did it. And I held songwriting meetings every single month. I would bring all the songwriters in. I was always about creating a container, creating a community, and increasing the communication between them. I wanted all my songwriters to know each other, so that if like Jamie Houston, he needed a background vocalist, and Robbie lived down the street. Robbie, can you come over and help me? It's like I wanted them to be able to like borrow guitars from each other and help each other.
Eventually, that would lead to a co-write, and two heads are better than one.
Exactly, exactly. So, and then the community starts helping each other too. It's because it's friendly competition. The best song is always going to win.
Yeah.
But let's at least have a good time getting there. So.
A lot of people get frustrated by the fact that the industry uses allahs. I get this complaint all the time from people. We feel like you, Taxi, and the industry are trying to pigeonhole us by saying we're looking for songs a la this artist, or we're looking to sign an artist a la that artist. And they feel that it has sapped the creativity and the originality out of the industry. I personally contend that that's just the language of the industry. That's the way it's always been, because it's much easier for me to say, find me a song a la this song, and you know exactly the range. It doesn't have to be just like that song. It's just something that would be on the same playlist or done by the same artist. So what would you say as a publisher to counter that argument that it stifles people and pigeonholes them, or maybe you feel that it does? I don't know if it put words in your mouth.
I don't think so, but
Yeah.
I have the same image of that word that you do. Okay, but I think that people, or that phrase, I think that some people come to that and they actually, that's what they think. They come to it and they think that's you're stifling me. But I agree with you, is that you need something to show you, like, it's going to be green. I'm looking for green is huge,
Right.
I mean, green is like from here to here and 360 degrees. So, if Faith Hill wants to do songs a la Sarah McLachlan, well, you can pretty much know that it would be like Sheryl Crow, Sean Colvin, Tori Amos. She wants to do singer-songwriter, make them country, but you're at least giving them an idea, As far as pigeonholing somebody as far as an artist is concerned, I think that's just there's a void, So if a record company is saying, we really could use a Britney Spears, what they're saying is that they need a superstar. They need somebody who's going to go out and is going to not only be who's going to brand and who's going to be like marketable and who's going to be above an international superstar. I mean, Britney
They're
Spears
not looking for another Britney. They're looking for somebody that play on the same station and do all those things you're describing.
Right, and so that's what I would urge your listeners to, or whoever's combating you on that, is to just take a step back and to look at it as a perspective, in that when we're saying that, we're just giving you like a little pin drop, and from that pin drop, it's like it's in the water, the ripples. Choose a ripple. There's a line in there somewhere, I mean, I always got told, like, well, we want songs like this, and I went and played Sheryl Crow to Winona and got a cut. Who would ever thought that Sheryl Crow and Winona, and 15 years now, of course, it would be easy to see, but this was 15, 20 years ago. Actually, it was 20 years ago.
But you also knew the range that Winona, you couldn't have played Sheryl's stuff if she were a rap artist.
No, exactly.
There's a range of acceptability, kind of.
And that's where the definition is. And like you said, it's the language of the industry. Mm-hmm. Every industry has a language. Every person has their own language. In fact, I'm a huge. One of the things that I teach is that every single person has to create their own language. It's part of the process.
Tell us more about that.
Well, I think that the more that you can be mindful and aware of the words that you use and how you speak and how you talk, the better off it is.
So become a great communicator.
Right. I mean, it's interesting because a lot of my artists, they would be great, writers and artists, but get them into a meeting with a record company president and they had no idea what to say. So that was just as important as the education of them,
right,
as the music writing, because they all have to be informed. I mean, when Sheryl signed her record deal, this was 20 years ago, I made Jonathan Haft sit down on the floor and all three of us and go over like all the sections and let her know, like, this is what it means, like this is what you owe them. Do you understand?
Right.
So because otherwise you just sign these things and it's like,
right. I'm so happy that I've got one.
I got money and it's like, okay, fine, yeah, I owe you 7 records. Do you realize what that means? Yeah. So
I remember Jonathan Haft.
Yeah.
We used him, Taxi member.
Bless his heart.
Got a deal, a group
Great
called
lawyer.
Bob Goblin. In,
Disney.
Is that where he is now?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hi, Jonathan.
Okay.
I haven't spoken to him in like 15 years or more. Let me look at my notes and see what I haven't covered.
Shout out to Judy.
Why? Oh, let's do that. Okay. Why is it that the industry? I just had this an email from a member the other day that said, why do I need you guys, Taxi, being a gatekeeper? Why can't you just send my stuff directly to the person who's the ultimate end user and let that guy or that woman decide if my stuff is right or good for what they need? And I said, we're not gatekeepers, we're enablers. But why do they need somebody like Taxi or a manager, or a lawyer, or a publisher? I know.
Right. Your name is everything. Okay. Your name is everything. There's a great book out there called The 48 Laws of Power. Mm-hmm. And
orange cover, blue font.
Robert Greene, fantastic. Yeah. And they go through all the
laws
and the transformation and if there's any opposite of it. Right. And your reputation is the one thing that there is no retribution. I mean, there's no forgiveness in that. It's mm-hmm. like your reputation is everything. There's no exception to that law, right?
Okay.
So the thing is that when you are presenting your songs, mm-hmm. you want to be represented in the best way possible, especially at the very beginning. So for you to make the decision that if you're sitting in, your comfort zone with your friends and your family around you, mm-hmm. and that's all you have, then it's very, very wise to have an enabler, a mirror is what I like to call them, somebody that is a professional opinion, so that you know that you're going in with the best foot forward, because they will remember. They want your name. If they don't, they may not. Your song may not be right for the project, but your song has to be good. Your song has to be well crafted. It has to be a really great song. Okay.
But everybody thinks their songs are that
I
great.
understand that. So that's why Taxi is fantastic, because they need to have a mirror to make sure that it's like dressing up for the prom and not having anybody there to go, this happened to me. This literally happened to me. BMI Awards, summer, I was wearing a long black dress, decided not to wear any stockings because it was like 90 degrees outside. Well, at the Beverly Hills Hotel, when you get up on stage, well, the lights, well, of course, there was my bra and there was my underwear. And I mean, I had like Charles, Koppelman, I had all these guys just like helping me, Les Spider, they were all helping me off the stage, and Les like, get away from me. But that's the thing, is that if I wish I had somebody at the house that would have told me, it's the same thing. It's
I hope my wife is watching. Are you listening, Deb? Because she will sometimes wear a skirt that needs a slip, and I'll say, honey, you can see right through that.
Right.
And she goes, only you would look at that, you pervert. No, so everybody would.
I have a light now that I just shine and go, okay. Actually, now I have a husband. It's much easier. But that's the thing. We all need a mirror. And if you're really serious about this, then it's like nothing. Like, it's like once you remember, it's like whatever it is, you come in and get an opinion. And if somebody says, oh my God, this is fantastic, this is great, it's ready to send, isn't that worth the money that you sent in, knowing that you now have a great song? To me, I'd be like, the confidence would have just gone up the roof, because Taxi would have gone, I have nothing to say. That would be my goal.
And it's funny, the people who are the most successful have exactly that attitude. Exactly that attitude, and the ones who fight us every step of the way. We're not trying to create mindless, robots making music that sounds exactly like what's on the radio.
No.
We just want to help them get into a ballpark that radio needs, because radio does have a very fixed range of stuff they can play. If it's too far outside, then it doesn't appeal to their audience. If it doesn't appeal to their audience, then advertisers aren't happy.
Right.
That's the formula.
Right.
So
if you want to write for radio.
Right.
Right.
And God bless you if you want to just write to make yourself happy and create art, but don't join Taxi. You know what I mean?
Or join Taxi and do it for your own pleasure too. The thing is that and not everybody has the same result. I mean, they're the same goals at the very end. But the great thing is that there's so many options. Okay, you can be 75 years old and get a song on Grey's Anatomy.
Yep.
It doesn't They don't care. They don't.
Right.
They don't know how old somebody is. You
No
know what I'm
idea.
saying? So you can really do whatever you want, but you have to be good at it. If you're going to be doing this, it's like I wouldn't settle for mediocrity. The thing is that we're all students. In order for me to be really great at what I do, and I really do believe I'm really great at what I do.
You are great at what you do.
Love what I do. I'm so passionate about it.
You certainly are.
I have to continually be a student.
Uh-huh.
I have continually take classes. Okay?
What kind of classes do you take?
In the past 4 years since I left Warner Chapel, I have taken the Groundlings, the improvisational class. I've
Really?
taken 2 musical theater classes. I've taken a couple of film on acting classes and workshops. I actually have an acting coach. I've taken 2 voiceover classes. I've
That's
taken
what the real money is.
Yeah. Oh my God. It's so fantastic. I've made 3 little independent, student. I've made 1 student film and 2 little, indie films.
Yeah.
I audition as much as I can. My best friend and I went and auditioned for the X Factor when it was here in LA the first year.
Wow.
Because I wanted to know what it was like. Because I've had 1 on Idol and I've had 1 on The Voice who've had great success.
What was it like for you being a very
Well,
legitimate industry veteran?
Well, this is a very funny story. So we get there, 6 o'clock in the morning on that Sunday, and it was raining, and they don't let you until noon, and you're just exhausted, and it's like, oh my God. We did not sing until 8:30 that night. So we've been there since 6:30. We've been up since like 4:30. She talked me into it. She really did. I love her so much. But I thought, what a great process to go through. I never went going through it, to make it. So wait all day, and they have all these little tents, and they do 20 at a time, and they've got all these like people sitting, A&R people, and from all the company, down there. I walk in, and David Stam is sitting right there, who was had as a psycho, and I'm like, and I've known David for like 20 years,
Did he think that you took a wrong turn to the ladies'
We
room?
started laughing. He's like, "What the hell are you doing here?" I said, "Well, I don't have a job anymore, so I can kind of do whatever I want." And he was like, "I can't audition you." I said, "I'm not singing for you." So he pawned me off to somebody else. Another woman who was very sweet, lovely. And she's like, "You're not quite what we're looking for." I said, "Thanks a lot, goodbye." I said,
But you did it.
I did it. I mean, if I did it again...
Bucket list check.
Exactly.
Yeah.
If I did it again, I'd know what to prepare for. I'd know what to do. I just did it on a whim. But going through that process, I now know how better to help kids on this end go through that process and get ready for it. Absolutely.
Wow.
So, and I had one on Team Blake from last year, season 2, Ray Lynn.
Right.
And I had I coached a girl that made it to the top 20 girls this season of American Idol. Her name was Rachel Hale. Her name is Rachel Hale. She still is.
She still has
She
it.
still is, yes. So, yeah.
So what's the first thing that you told those folks after having gone through the process yourself? How were you able to help them?
Well,
let me rephrase that. If there's one thing that you can tell anybody watching the show that might ever be inclined to go audition for one of the singing competition shows, is there one overarching thing they should know?
To know who you are.
Musically, personality,
Everything.
really?
Everything. Both of the any show out there that you want to go on, remember it's a TV show.
Mm-hmm.
First and foremost, it's a TV show. So they are looking for things that are a little out of the ordinary. They want the drama. They want the sparkle. They want stuff that causes attraction. Okay, so to know who you are is really, really, really good. I mean that's just the formula for being an artist for anything is to really have your to be grounded on what kind of music you want to do, how you're going to present yourself, what stories you're going to tell, how are you going to answer them when they say where you're from, if given a chance, who would you want to produce? I mean, there's so many things to get ready you're getting ready to have an interview with a record company, if you want
Right,
to really
it's-
kind of think about that. Each one of them, both Raylan and Rachel, what I guided was at the end, if you get as far as we think you're going to get as far, you're going to have an opportunity like no other. Okay? So you're going to have people looking at you. Okay? So you don't want to start here. You want to start back here.
I just heard hearts breaking, through the lens of the camera,
Right.
because people tend to believe that it's just the music. Can I write just a great song and everything will happen for me? But what you just brought,
Sometimes.
but to be an artist, you're right. Like when Katy Perry worked here as a screener, literally, I remember the time I walked through the front door and there was a girl in the lobby. I had no idea who she was, but you could feel greatness.
Right.
She was
She had
nobody.
presence.
Yeah,
She had a presence.
She was wearing a
And-
sweatshirt and jeans, but you could feel. She was Katie Hudson then, and
Yeah.
nobody knew anything about her. So you're so right to understand who you are, and when somebody turns and says, "Who would you like to produce this?" by having an answer ready to go and a legitimate answer shows that you've
Right.
given it thought. And I want to sign that artist because they're thinking like we're thinking.
Yeah. When someone
great
says to me, "I don't know,"
Yeah.
it tells me that they really
They
don't,
don't know.
They don't know. Right. But you have to think about that. It's like when you start saying, I don't know, it's like, well, wait a minute, you do know. Start making some choices. Start making choices of who you are, okay? I mean, one of the things with Rachel Hale, who was on American Idol, was, when she was a student at Belmont, and Belmont every year sends a handful of them out to LA, and I'm an adjunct professor there, so I get to mentor one a semester. And so Rachel came to me every semester, every week. She had an appointment, and then she took my workshops also.
Okay.
So she had like double dose of me for 9 months. So
Lucky her.
lucky her. She was very, very lucky.
I got to tell you guys, I think I put this in the email I sent out. Last summer, after Judy came here and did Taxi TV, I paid for Hannah. I wouldn't take a freebie. I don't want my kid to get a freebie because of who I know, or blah, blah, blah. So I paid for Hannah to go take Judy's course, and she went in with promise and came out far better for having done your course. I mean, I would pick Hannah up was it Monday nights?
Every Monday nights, yeah.
Yeah, and it was great. So I got to see Judy every Monday night instead of going like a year and a half between sightings. I would see her every Monday night. It's great. But I would see Hannah maturing, not just as a writer, but maturing as an industry person, maturing as a person. And so one of the things, is it too early in the hour? No, we're halfway through. I didn't want to hit this way early in the hour, plus I want to listen to some music. But I want to get back to this later. We should listen to some music. But you talk about body, mind, and soul. And I was joking with Judy before we went on air, saying, you're so holistic. I think you might have lived in L.A. a little too long. And,
Brad.
and maybe eating one too many avocados. Body, mind, and soul, really? But I watched it work for Hannah. And so that email I sent out the other day, I did because I wanted to, and I believe in the body, mind, and soul thing because I watched it work on my own kid,
right?
And I know her pretty well. So let's listen to a song or two, and then talk about more stuff, and then listen to more stuff.
Cool.
All right. So first thing we're going to hear is "How You Do It." It says theme edit. I don't know what that means, but and I generally don't say the names of the writers, because in case things don't go well, I don't want to embarrass anybody. We only tell their names if it goes really, really well. But I'm sorry,
that's
almost harpooned you in the face, the corner of the paper. So this person says, "Did I mess up the production on this by taking it too far from blues-inspired garagey style and overproducing it? And are the lyrics good enough?"
Okay.
So that's what we're.
All right, cool.
I mean, you obviously.
Do you have lyrics over there?
I think I do.
Would be for "How You Do It."
1, 2, 3. No, I have 1, 2. Oh, come on! I must.
Okay. Well, I'll listen carefully.
All right, I've got lyrics for everyone but that
Okay.
one, I believe. Okay, sorry. Are there lyrics? No, not very good.
No,
Okay, all right.
It doesn't look like, unless they were here, WW, but no, that's you guys. It didn't look like they were on here, maybe.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
okay.
we'll wing it on this one.
All right.
electrified by the lightest touch from you. 100 degrees and still getting higher. No matter what, I can't get enough of you. So tell me how you do it, how you were made for it. Tell me how you get away with it, 'cause you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. So tell me how you do it, how you were made for it. Tell me how you get away with it, 'cause you do. Tell me how you do it,
Okay. All right.
how you were made
Gotta have the applause. All right.
All right. It's harder to critique when I don't have the lyrics in front of me because to do sections and stuff.
And I think that's on us because I've got 4 lyrics here. Maybe I have that one and lost it. I don't know.
Yeah, okay, that's okay. I'll try and do this. One of the things that I would do is I actually the production is fine, but I think it really needs to be remixed. The vocal needs to come out. I mean, this song is all about a vocal. I mean, it's very cool and kind of interesting. It could be like the vampire film and TV cue in those kind of shows. I like the so tell me how you do it, but I liked it when you start out with it and then you go into a verse and then you have the chorus again. So you tell me you made, or whatever you say there, and then you kind of go down. You kind of went softer on it. I liked how that was, but I didn't think where you had it when you went from your verse to the chorus lacked like luster to it. It kind of sat there.
I'm going to steal that word.
Luster.
I love that word.
Because you did the little verse and then you got to that chorus and it was like kind of more sing-songing. It needed to kind of have move a little bit more. And I think the vocal could help that because the vocal really needs to sell this a little bit more.
It brought it back down to being cool and mysterious rather than taking cool and mysterious and growing it into something more captivating.
Yeah. And you just keep saying the same thing over and over and over again. There's really only one verse that you say something different. So lyrically, this would need to be developed. So, but I love, but the idea and the whole the melody and where it sits and stuff. I like that part of it, and I like the chorus idea. I like a lot of those lyrics there. If you want to send me the lyrics later.
Okay,
email
it to
Jason.
Not to me. The Taxi Music News, the address that was in the email I sent out, and put attention, Aaron, for Judy, and Aaron will get it to me.
There you go.
And then I'll get
there
it
you
to
go. And then I can really show them the sections. Okay,
awesome.
good. All right, there you go.
So I remember I made a note and said this would almost work for a show like Justified, except then I started hearing there was a relationship story in the lyric.
Right.
So a music supervisor would say, I can't use it because there's a relationship story in the lyric. Well, you might make the argument that you could use it for a scene that's about a relationship, but they don't like to be too on the nose either. It's like, don't tell me more about the relationship. Just tell me how the relationship made you feel is what a music soup would say.
Got it.
So anyway, okay, moving on. Let's listen to one more, and then we'll go back to some chit chat. What is number 2? Is a song called "Once Again," and I believe that we do have a lyric for that one.
Okay.
There you go.
Much easier.
Okay.
From the moment I first saw you, I knew something had changed. All these walls
How'd you like that fade?
There you go. There's some nice things in here. Some really nice things in here. I'm really big on stories. Okay, and one of the things that I talk about is that you have 4 minutes and maybe 200 words approximately to tell your story. If you're a screenwriter, you get 2 hours and I don't know how many thousands of words, but you chose songwriting, so suckers. So every line is an opportunity to tell more of the story. It is not an opportunity to repeat over and over again the same thing over and over again. Okay, so remember that is that you've got 200 words, and they're laying out in front of you. It's like, well, if you tell me that the sky is blue, you don't need to tell me that again and again and again. That's wasting. It's wasting precious words.
That's a great point.
So you set it up from the moment I first saw you. I knew something had changed. All these walls I had built had to be rearranged. I love that. What a great image, because you had this one impression, but wow, she looks different. She must have, forgiven me, or she's grown, or she's whatever whatever it is. But after that, that's what I want to know. I want to know what it is.
Okay.
I want to know from.
So it lacks the detail.
It lacks the details because all these walls I had to be rearranged. Well, where were they? What did you do with them? What does it mean? I mean,
did you hire a decorator?
Right. So, and I would not. Right now, you go into you open my world again. I can do anything again, which is a lift verse, in my opinion. And then instead of going into the chorus, you go into a second verse. So I would either go into the chorus then, and then go back into the second verse, or I would leave this lift verse out the first time and just go do it the second time. But I think you waste. You open my world again. I can do anything again. That's an opportunity to say something different. To give me something else. Okay.
Right. You're using that precious real estate for something
exactly.
That's not that.
And the chorus lyrics too. I think you start out really well with this story, but there has to be more of a story. The other thing, think about it as the moment in a film. The moment, one moment in a movie, okay? And I'll give you a little example of this, is that I went to my acting coach because I was auditioning, had a callback. And so I thought, well, this is a good opportunity to go do this. So, but I had to cry in this scene. So he said, well, on set, you did it through audition, but on set you may not be able to. So I've got the script in front of me. He goes, well, do you have songs that, that make you cry? I said, well, yeah. And he goes, okay, go make it home and make a playlist of the songs that make you really cry. And then, well, that's kind of easy. And, I have a couple of them that just take me right back to where I was, the whole bit. So I'm sitting there and I'm rehearsing the scene at home and I've got my script and I'm listening to the music, and I'm not listening to the lyrics, and I'm rehearsing and I'm like, well, gosh darn, he had me write a song. The lyrics were the script.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah, okay.
The script with the lyrics, okay.
Isn't that copyright infringement?
There you go. I chose the melody,
right.
Okay. I chose this melody behind me, and my voice came out, and what came out was my interpretation of what all this was.
Did you cry?
Oh yeah. No, and I got the part too. I
really?
got the part. Yeah.
Congratulations.
I filmed last week.
Wow.
So, but that's the thing, is that you have to think of, okay, this is the moment that I see her. I haven't seen her in so long. Something's different. Oh my God, all these walls that I built, they're coming down. What else are you thinking?
Yeah.
There's got to be something else going on in here. What does it taste like? What does it smell like? What else is going on? I mean, what does she say? There's got to be more going on in that moment, and that's what I want to know. Before you go on to the next.
Man, I love hanging
out
with
the
you.
little tidbits.
Yeah, but you're right. It's using all the senses, wrapping yourself around all that detail, and then saying it with the most sparing use of words you can to make the point.
Right.
And make it impactfully for the listener.
And by the way, that's why I go and do acting and do singing and do all that stuff.
It's got
because
to be,
that coaching session with Eric Klein, by the way, great acting coach. He showed me another way, which I can now give to all of you in helping and demonstrate what when I'm saying, okay, it's a moment. Okay, well, what does that mean? Now I have something to actually give you, a tool, so you can visualize it.
I can help you the next time you need to cry. You don't even need to think about a song. Just think about the fact that you spent 30 years in the music industry. If that's not enough to bring you to tears, I don't know what is. Bada boom. That's, hate to keep bringing up my own kid, but Hannah takes acting classes as well, and she's made that comment before, that the two intertwine.
Yeah.
Especially
the voice casters, the voiceover.
Yeah.
Oh, that was so interesting. Just the inflections and the emotion. It's just like, well, because I've said this before. The difference between singing and talking is just a little nuance.
Yeah.
We could be singing the whole time we are here.
You
We'd be writing songs.
They'd get up and leave if I start singing.
Yeah, really.
I don't know if I've ever told you this about my life. I used to run the largest voiceover studio anywhere on the planet Earth, a place in New York called Howard Schwartz Recording. And,
Oh my gosh, I don't know that. No.
It closed about a year ago, but it was open for 37 years, and a typical day would be like recording Sophia Loren in the morning, and then doing the guy who does, movie trailers in the afternoon. I mean, typically we had, at the time, 7 studios that went 10 to 12 hours a day. So,
It's crazy, that business.
I have a dear friend named Alan Blevis who now is retired in Phoenix, although I think he still works from home. But
And that's the great thing. You can work from home.
Now you can,
you just
Back
send
then
it
you had
and
to go
done
to a
with it, yeah.
studio, but
I have a studio.
there were. I had several friends who were in the $1 Million a Year club that made $1 million to $1.25 million a year working 15 hours a week. Now it took them 15 or 20 years to get there.
Yeah, you have to be
it's
very
like
serious
being a
about
songwriter
or anything else.
And inflection is everything. You're right. How many ways can you say Delta is ready when you are? A great voiceover guy could do that 15 ways by listening and trying to placate 5 people from the ad agency, the writer, the producer,
Right.
their client, all
Right.
going, well, can you do it with a bigger smile? Can you do it with more gravitas?
You sound like a 15-year-old.
Yeah, and these guys could do it.
Yeah.
They may be screaming on the inside, but they were professional and did it on the outside.
Absolutely.
And there you go.
Yeah.
I will have you know that when each of my 4 daughters were born, the first words they ever heard from my mouth when I picked them up after cutting the cord was, 2 voiceovers.
2 voiceovers.
I could do that. It's serious money, but they're...
Yeah. True story.
All right.
So as far as just to sum up, it's a little long, and you're repeating a lot of stuff. So you need more story.
Melodically sing-songy, too, wasn't it?
Melodically, you have a nice map, but there needs to be a little bit more emotion and movement. It kind of really... It kind of just plodded along. It was a nice map. You've got a nice thing started. Now it needs some rewrites. Make it come alive.
There you go. Okay, let me do another question or two, and then we'll listen to a couple more songs. Let's see, what haven't I talked about? Okay, when you meet a songwriter that says, oh, boy, you're in the music industry, and you've accomplished all this stuff. I'm so glad to have met you, and I do rock, I do pop, I do country, I do jazz. What's the first thing that goes through your head?
Overextended, overzealous, overly.
I find that people are compelled to say, I can do it all, because they think that by doing it all, it makes them more appealing to people in the industry. I've always contended, do one thing and do it really well, and then once you've conquered that mountain, and branch out. I can probably name Diane Warren, John Shanks, a few writers that are cross-genre, and I don't mean cross-gender, I mean cross-genre, where they can do 2 or 3 genres and do them all pretty equally as well. But most can't. And I've met a lot of people in my career that seem very compelled to say, I can do this, that, and the other thing.
Well, I think the reason Diane Warren and John Shanks is a great example of that, I was his publisher for 9 years, is that they write true songs that can be produced in many different genres.
Everybody hopes for that.
Right. But that Diane Warren can say she writes for all those markets. Okay.
Right.
So it's not that she can do rock and she can do jazz and she can do all those things, because I don't know. Celine Dion can't do jazz. It's like she can't do country.
Right.
Everybody's limited to some point. But as a songwriter, you can achieve success in so many different markets by being a true song, by the voice, the melody, and the lyric. You know, and be really
Yeah.
and that's Diane Warren is a true songwriter. I mean, her stuff is like at the seed. It's like popular music, so it can go R&B, it can go country, it can go a little jazzy, it can go R&B, it can go hip. I mean, she, you know, that's what she does. So,
Why is it that so few people can do that well? We know that she, you know, the rule is the
'cause she's true to
10,000
herself.
the 10,000 hour rule, but she's probably done
But
half
she
a
did
million
that.
hours.
She did that. I mean, I was Diane Warren's publisher at the very beginning too.
Wow.
Her very first book. But yeah, she did that from the very beginning.
Yeah.
She was very, very clear. I mean, the melodies. She hears the voice. She hears. I mean, the integration of all three of those things is. She knows that. She's found it. She's found her little soul of that. You know, the perfect little seed, and she just keeps nurturing that. So that's what I tell everybody that comes to me. Any and the free advice is know who you are. Know who you are. Know what you like. Know what words you want. Know what words you don't like. What words you like. Know what emotionally you know what emotions you have in you. I mean, that's one of the things is that most people are like, you know, they're happy all the time, so they write happy songs, or they're sad all the time, so they write sad songs. I mean, they become too general in their emotions, and emotions are so complex.
What if the industry isn't looking for who you are?
You know what? That's the whole thing, is that the industry isn't looking for anything because everything costs money. But the industry will look at you when you have something to show. So you know what? The industry, I know for everybody that I've worked with, it's like, I mean, I look at Joy Williams for the Civil Wars, okay?
Yeah.
Nobody looked. She did it independently. Nobody was
Right.
looking at her. Nobody was going, oh my God, you know. We started, you know, as she was becoming, I mean, she started getting cuts and started getting, you know, little things going on, stuff. People started taking notice, but, you know, they did the Civil Wars all by themselves, you know, until they had something. All of a sudden people went, oh, we want it. And then every record company wanted it. Of course they did. But that's the way you have to do things.
Mm-hmm.
If you think that you're going into an industry where they are going to develop you, they're not. They're going to brand. They're going to market. They're going to tour you. They're going to work the living jeebies out of you. Okay, but
Good save.
they're not going to do the development that you need at the beginning of your career. And I know that a lot of people out there have said, "Well, I've been doing this for 20 years."
Right.
Well, if you're not at the success and at the place that you want to be, then maybe there were some things that you missed along the way.
Yeah, maybe you've been
Okay.
doing it right for 20
Right.
years.
I want to say it's like
I've been swinging baseballs for my entire life.
Right.
I suck at it.
Right, and if you really wanted to go be a baseball player, you'd have to go take some lessons.
Yes,
Yeah,
I would.
Exactly.
I would need a coach.
So you need a coach, exactly. So that's what it's about, and the other thing, it's about a community. I mean, that's what you provide. That is so fantastic. Is that you provide a community so people don't feel so lost out there.
Right.
Because it is a very solitary thing. I'm a writer too. I've written 3 songs so far. So if I only had time to do more, I know how you guys feel. But the thing is that it's a very solitary thing. It's not something you could do with a very large group of people.
Right.
So to be able to have a community to come in, you know, where you can learn and where you can, you know, where you can experiment. You know, you have to have a place where you can come and fall too. Failure is not a bad thing.
How do
we
you-
give failure a really bad name.
How do you accomplish that in your classes? I would go to pick up Hannah from Judy's classes, and they would generally run a little long, maybe 20 minutes long.
Yeah.
And she would leave her front door open, so I would kind of quietly open the door and tiptoe in.
I don't usually do that, so don't show up on Monday night. And know the front door's open. Go ahead.
Well, she knew that I was coming to, and there was one other gentleman that came
Yeah.
to pick up a friend, so
Yeah.
she always left the door open for us. But I would listen to the class, and you made it very safe for people to fall there. They could say anything, and they didn't have to be embarrassed that it was dumb or that it was a poor anything. Yeah.
There's integrity.
Yeah.
There's a lot of integrity. Yeah.
Well, how can you make that happen? Because you don't know. You could get a couple of jerks in a class. Would you have 6 or 8 people in that class?
I've had just to like maybe one in the whole time.
One jerk.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, I wouldn't say jerk.
Well, you
I'm
know
just
what I
saying
mean.
one person who didn't want to listen and they left, and that was the end of it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so but how lucky
what?
are you? How do you get so fortunate that you get a group of people where it's
know-
like that office-y corporate thing, you know, where you fall backwards and your fellow staff members catch you and don't let you
Yeah.
hit the floor?
You know, I think I set it up from the very beginning to be like that. I set the ground rules from the very beginning, and my ground rules are: this is a place to fall. This is an okay place. This is going to be a safe place. I do that with my intention every single week. I do that with my vision statement and my mission statement that I have, that I tell everybody. So everybody comes to it with the same integrity, the same the wisdom, and we're all going to have extraordinary experiences. We're all going to have fun doing this, you know. But the ground rules is that we respect each other, and we give each other we treat each other the same we want to be treated. And those are pretty much the ground rules. I don't really care. People have said, well, you know, I don't know really how to write that. I don't care. I had a gentleman last time who's a big corporate executive, never written a song in his life, and had to miss a couple. He had to do a basics 8-week series and had to miss a couple of them.
Yeah. And
we do a showcase at the end. Hannah did it. We did it at Genghis Cohen this time. And because he didn't get to really write a song, and he's in the process of doing this now, but he writes lyrics. He got up on stage and sang for the first time. He sang Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen, but he hadn't gone up on stage and sang in like 15, 20 years. And when it came the second time around, he got up and recited one of his poems that he's been working on. That was a huge deal to him. So I don't care if you've written 3 albums or you've never done anything before. We all treat each other with the same respect. We all come to it with that mindset. Then we all get along.
Sitting on the other side of the wall, listening to you guys, you can feel that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, I'm not a very frou-frou-y guy. The body, mind, and spirit thing. The first time I heard it, I didn't give it a lot of credence.
I know.
But man, your stock just skyrocketed with every week. Where I would hear just that last 10 or 15 minutes of the class. Now, I've never heard other people teach mechanics of songwriting.
Right.
You know, this is how it's always been done. This is how you should do it.
It becomes a little too technical, I found.
Yeah.
And one of the things actually that I have done is that I'm patenting or whatever you to copyright or whatever, the Judy Stakee method, because I've spent so many years, teaching, and especially in the last, I would say 8-9 years of educating myself on how to teach workshops and how to make a container safe and how to,
Right.
I didn't just, I didn't just make this up. It's like I've gotten a lot of training and a lot of schooling, and I keep going back and taking workshops on teaching and education and all this, so I can bring my best forward. But I forgot the question.
I don't even remember.
I don't remember the question. We're just going for it.
Hannah, do you remember the question?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Anyway, the whole frou-frou thing.
The body, mind, and soul.
Yeah.
But, and I think I've said it before, is that if you want to go to the Olympics, you would have to change something tomorrow in your body. You'd have to start running. You'd have to start eating right. You'd have to start playing tennis 5 hours a day. I mean, think about all the physical things that you would have to put in place to become an Olympic champion, okay? You would have to start studying every single Andre Agassi, Pete Sampras tape out there. You would have to start boning up on all the TV people that you would have to doing interviews for, and start memorizing things and start stats and all the stuff that your mind would have to be filled with, okay?
The language of the industry.
Language.
Yeah.
Right. And then you would have to really work on your confidence, work on throwing the racket, your behavior on that. So your soul would have to and what are you going to say at these press conferences?
Right.
So your soul would have to be engaged and developed at the same time. If that wasn't developed, you'd have a brat on your hand. You know what I'm saying? It's like John McEnroe. But that's the thing. You want to be able to get through those things. You don't want to have those kinds of things cripple you or get you thrown out of a game or whatever it is.
You make so much sense. You really do.
Thanks.
You're eloquent. I have preached for years that people. We use Allahs in our listings, and people go, I don't know who the Civil Wars are. I don't know who the Lumineers are. Dear God, you want to be in the industry, you have to know. So I've started doing taxi TVs where I'm playing these artists, so that our older members who are still stuck where I am. I mean, I've had to force myself not to be stuck, because I'm in the industry, but I love music from from 72 to 82. That's my decade.
There you
Love
go.
that stuff.
Yeah.
So for me to know who the Grizzly Bears are, the Lumineers, Magnetic
I have
Sharp.
goddaughters. I
Yeah.
have goddaughters. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to.
I'm like, give me playlists. Yeah.
Right. So Hannah and I, that's why I brought Hannah on the show, was to actually make a playlist and analyze the stuff for our members. And they loved it.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so
Fantastic.
you're right. Just like somebody who wants to be an Olympic tennis player would have to study everything, know everything. Which year did Sampras win this? How did he do it? Who did he beat? How many sets? You know.
There's
You gotta know.
You gotta know all this stuff.
Yep. Awesome. Let's listen to another
Okay.
song. Oh, you've got the list. Okay. We are going to listen to Not a Dry Eye in the House. A good song to cry to.
Oh.
Lyrics, Not a Dry Eye. There you go.
Okay.
Okay, and that's song number 3. Here it comes, Not a Dry Eye in the House.
Another encore, one more curtain call, one last performance where I could barely see the acting at all. You're blowing kisses and you take a bow. There's nothing I can do to try to change the ending now. How you rise to the occasion when there's nothing left to say. The lights go down, the lead won't look me in the eye, barely a sound as she tells her love goodbye. So stop the show, because I'm man enough to cry. And as you go, well, there's not a dry eye in the house. It's so cliche the way I play this scene, all full of righteous rage and blame for things that might have been. You stay in character, no, you won't break. You taught this master class in how to make a true heartache. Should I stand for an ovation at the ending of the play? The lights go down, the lead won't look me in the eye, barely a sound as she tells her love goodbye. So stop the show, 'cause I'm man enough to cry. And as you go, well, there's not a dry eye in the house. I'm throwing roses as I shout bravo. You really had me going there, you know. The lights go down.
Really good. Very nice, actually. Really, really nice. This is a really interesting perspective. Can they hear this too? Can
Yes.
everybody? Okay, they all heard it.
Yes.
Being that you're talking to her like she's, you guys are the actors in your life. I really like that. I think you took it a little too far. Another encore, one more curtain call, one more last performance where I could barely see the acting at all. you're blowing kisses and you take a bow. There's nothing I can do to try to change it. And how you rise to the occasion, there's nothing to say. I'm actually all okay with that. It's a little general, but I'm okay with that.
What was that? You went by kind of quickly.
I know.
Which part
Sorry.
are you talking about?
The first verse.
Okay.
The first verse. Another encore, one more curtain call, one last performance where I could barely see the acting at all. You kind of drive the point, but I like how it sings also. It's the chorus where I would make it more personal. I'm not. I don't like the lights go down. I'm fine, but the lead won't look me in the eye. I think it's hard to follow the story. Then I would make it about you and her. Is that I would change the lead won't look me in the eye. Barely a sound as she tells me her love goodbye. So stop the show because I'm man enough to cry. As you go, there's not a dry eye in the house. I think you could keep the rest of it. It's in the second verse, which I think that I think you need to be a little bit more real and not as cliche-ish. Like you actually say, it's so cliche,
right.
the way I play the scene. Things that might have been, you stay in character, no, you won't break, you taught this masterclass. Yeah, I think that you get too far into the cliche of you guys of not a dry eye in the house and this being a play that you guys are in. I would have this much more real here of what really happened and like why what happened, where right now, what's why is she leaving, what a few more details. And then the other thing is that it's just that I think it could be a little faster. I think it could move a little bit more. I think it seemed very safe. I wanted it just to move just a little bit more. I wanted the vocal to kind of I wanted to feel the pain a little bit more. I didn't feel the pissiness, I didn't feel the fine,
He delivered. I don't know if this was a Nashville demo or not, but it sounds like a Nashville demo
yes.
singer.
Yeah.
And the delivery was great, but you're right, it lacks a certain authenticity, although it was a really great job of singing.
Right, and I think that will come in, when you get a verse in here that gives you a little bit more of what's going on. Mm-hmm. Again, when you stay so surfacey with the cliches and you say, oh yeah, we were the actors and we were the leads and, you backstage, you use all those kinds of words, you keep it very safe. I want to know about the heartbeat of it. I stole that from Susan Koch. She always talks about the heartbeat of things. I give her credit. But it's the heartbeat
so
of it.
Weird. 20 seconds before you said that, I was thinking about something Susan Koch said about one of Hannah's songs the other day.
That's so
Susan
funny.
Koch is...
She's on our mind. We talked about her before, too.
Right.
Yes, we
She's
love her.
another one of the great publishers.
And a great critiquer, too.
Yeah. And guess what? She is now screening your stuff at Taxi.
Fantastic.
So...
but this needs a little bit more of what really happened and why are you so mad and why is she leaving or something. I need a perspective. Okay. And I probably wouldn't do the key change at the end.
The modulation.
At the very, the modulation.
Does that date it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It dated it for me. Yeah.
Okay. Fair enough. And I said, yes, great snare sound.
Yeah.
Once an engineer, always an engineer. Okay, I want to go back to the body, mind, and soul thing. And I asked Hannah to join us today because she was off school. So come on over, Hannah, and jump into a chair and scoot up next to Judy so that I can get you in the frame. And...
this is such an awkward-looking outfit on camera. I look like a hobo.
She's wearing one of my old sweaters.
Yeah, this is one of my dad's.
And you've been drawing on your legs again. Great.
I get distracted when I'm doing my schoolwork sometimes. It's a team
Well, I'm
thing.
just glad to hear that you were doing schoolwork at all. I'm very proud of you. Good job. So, somebody before in the chat room said Michael is totally crushing on Judy. And you know what? Yes.
Aww.
But you know what? My wife crushes on Judy.
Oh, yeah.
The whole entire Lasco family loves her because
It's
she's...
a family-friendly thing.
Well, you're great at what you do. I got to get myself in there.
Who's
Okay.
Steve? Everyone keeps saying Steve. We
want
want
Steve.
Steve. Is this Steve's daughter? Steve?
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 No.
No Steve here.
Oh, anyway, so as I mentioned, last summer I was so blown away having Judy here on the show that Deb and I decided to send Hannah to Judy's 8-week course.
Yes.
And I watched Hannah mature. I literally saw you help our daughter grow up she loved you from the
When
very
moms love me.
yes. But
Parents.
she loved you from the first class, and she quickly learned to trust you. And I do remember there was a night where Hannah and my wife had it out right before Hannah got
Yes.
dropped off.
I remember that too.
remember
Yes,
that.
my wife was like, "No, you're only 15 years old, and you're going to listen to what I say." And she's like, "Ah," and went to class. And so Mom Judy, after the class, spent like 15 minutes talking to Hannah, and the Hannah that drove home with me that night was a little more mature than the one that my wife had dropped off. So it is body, mind, and soul. So I want you guys to talk about the class. By the way, Judy's class, there I am. Judy's class is already sold out. So,
Yeah, the workshop, the one-day
the
workshop
one-
in April is filled.
but you told me when you got here
Yep.
today you're going to do another
I'm
one?
doing another one on May 18th. I'm going
Okay.
to do them. I'm hopefully doing them once a month from now on.
Wow.
Yeah. You
Ramping
know
up the
what?
schedule.
Well, you know, I couldn't do it last year because I was busy managing somebody, and I have the time, so I just find they're so important. But the other thing is that the one day I'm going to do another one day in May, but I do have an 8-week basic series starting April the 15th. Oh shoot! I can't remember. It's a Monday night or a Wednesday night.
It's tax day, no matter what it is.
Yeah,
So it's gonna,
no. I think it's Wednesday night. I think it's I have an intermediate class on the other night, so I think it's on that Wednesday night.
Here, I'm going to open
April
up my iCal for a second.
17th. April? Is it-
Oh, I could have.
It's
just
April
said that.
17th.
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's April 17th. I'm starting a basics, and it's It's 8 weeks. The one day is my basics on speed, so you get everything, but in a short amount of time. The 8-week is like real saturation, where every week I take the process and we break it down and we do something different every week. We're working on the body, we're working on the mind, we're working on the soul.
Two things I remember. There was a gentleman that was driving in from like Las Vegas
Arizona.
or Arizona
Arizona,
every
every
week
week
to take this class, which
Yeah.
was mind blowing to me.
Yeah.
And
He was like 60, and then we had Hannah over here who was 15 at the time.
Yeah.
So the age
Yeah.
difference, but it was great to see what how he learned from her and what she learned from him. I mean, it was beautiful. It really was.
It was amazing to listen to you guys. So, Hannah, what's your perspective on the body? Oh, I remember the other thing was one night you had them doing yoga.
Yes.
And Hannah always wears skirts, so she had on like a knee-length
a
pencil skirt,
skirt. Right.
and it was yoga time.
And I was like, yeah, no, we did yoga. It was the first time I ever actually did real yoga. Every other time I just kind of sit and watch everyone else do it. I'd be like, yep, I can't touch my toes. How's that?
We had her up in a handstand.
Yeah,
Wow.
they got me to do a handstand. I don't do stuff like that. I just sit on the couch and
I
do
know.
schoolwork, so it was a big deal. Yeah.
So, from the songwriter's perspective, I mean, you've been around the industry, you've had the luxury of kind of knowing songwriters and producers and stuff as you've been a kid growing up, and then I turned you loose on Judy Stakee's class. What was it that made it so special? And I'm not doing this to plug the class so much as plug the class. I watched it. I watched what it did for my kid. So I want other people to know
Right.
about that.
Yeah. Let me just tell you, it was the most eye-opening experience out of everything I've possibly learned in the past few years. It's not, as my dad was talking about it, there are some things that like he would consider, or the average person might consider, a little frou-frou or LA at first. Like, I don't do yoga. I'm very inactive. I had a gym membership one time, and I was very bad with it. But Judy took every single aspect that's necessary for creating a songwriter out of yourself and took it to a whole new level.
Well, give us some detail. Fill in that verse.
We learned about everything that our body goes through, and how it's important to kind of know yourself and be comfortable with yourself to kind of get the work you want out of yourself, if that makes sense, And I heard people say that all the time, you have to know yourself before you go into songwriting. You have to know what you're going to write about. You have to understand yourself. And I was like, okay, sure. But once Judy really explained it to me, I was like, whoa, and I started applying it to myself, and, I was just talking to Judy about how I started, going out with my friends the other night and hanging out with people, and I was like, Judy, you were right, I came home and I had all this stuff to write about because I had experienced Los Angeles life. It was crazy.
I remember you came running into our bedroom. I can't wait to go write a song.
Yeah.
I've got so much to write.
Literally, like, I had
with
spent a few hours out with friends, and I came home and I was like, I have stuff to write about. I'm gonna go in my room and play with my guitar. You know, each
It takes
week.
so little these days. You know?
I know.
But you go out of your room.
It was great.
We generally keep her chained to the bed.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
True. You know, one week we did yoga. One week we did like meditation with sounds, kind of.
We did a toning workshop.
Toning workshop. That's what it's called.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yes.
And
Getting to know your voice.
yes, and it was. I think we probably spent about a half an hour on that on itself. And first of all, it flew by so quickly. And you know what they say: time flies when you're having fun. Is that it? And you know, like, the little things in life that you don't think are so important to building a songwriting career
Yeah.
were all of a sudden shined upon. And it just clicked. And you know, when something clicks, it's something that you want to go after. It's something that you want to...
Right. Once you understand
Yeah.
it, then you don't you never lose it.
Yeah, no, and I think about that every single time that I'm writing now, and like the importance of every aspect of yourself rather than just the songwriting point of it. You know, it's not like she didn't touch on the songwriting thing. Obviously,
Right.
that was the core of where everything started, but there's so much that goes into it because it is a craft. It is a business, but it's also a craft, and there's a lot of creativity that has to go into that. So, I mean, I went in a good enough songwriter, and
Yeah.
I came out like a whole different person. And they're not paying me to say this. Like, that's actually what happened. Yeah.
I remember that you were very challenged one week that Judy would rotate you around with different co-writers.
Yes.
And
Yes.
there was one week that she got paired up with somebody. She's like, oh.
I was like, I don't know how to do this. I don't
Right.
know what I'm doing.
But in the end, you ended up really liking the challenge of it.
It was
It was
great.
difficult, but it made you rise to the
Yeah,
occasion.
I did not like co-writing also before. I was not a fan of co-writing before Judy's workshop. I like to work on my own.
Yeah.
And Judy was like, you know, some people only can work on their own and that's okay, but just try it. And I co-write all the time, at least once or twice a week now.
Yep.
It's you know, co-writing is having a relationship with somebody, you know, so it's not just like you know, here's an idea and here's an idea. I mean, you actually have to sit across from this person. And I always say, can you imagine being in the room the whole entire time with somebody who spoke like Janice from Friends? Hi, do you like this idea? You know what I'm saying? But that's a relationship. So
Yeah.
sometimes you get a person across the hall from you or across the way from you that you have to that's not the easiest to have a relationship with for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Okay, they may be so incredibly talented, so you have to work, but you have to work with that, you know, and especially what I'm trying to stimulate is that, especially if you're a staff writer somewhere,
Oh, yeah.
like, I'd call them up on a Monday and go, tomorrow you're writing with so-and-so who's in town, and they would have never met them. And so you have to go into a room, write with somebody that you've never met before, and come out with a great song.
Yeah.
Because every co-write is a great opportunity to write a great song.
All she wanted was to. I remember Jordan. She just thought Jordan was brilliant and wonderful,
Right.
and in Hannah's mind, she would have worked every one of the 8 weeks with Jordan. But
Right.
having her work with more challenging situations and people that were not in her ballpark at all was really what made her grow.
Yeah.
Right.
Totally, and I mean, it wasn't just me. There were people from all different walks of life
Right.
in that workshop, and everybody by the end was like, it was insane. The transformation was
Right.
incredible, and you know, I remember the first week we had some people that would bring stuff in, and they were so stuck on what they were doing, and you were trying to like get them to come out of what they were doing and to expand themselves, and I really was just sitting there
I
like,
remember.
how is she gonna do this? And she did, and I was like, whoa. Not bad, Judy. Not bad.
Coming from you, oh, it's a huge compliment. Thank you. You were so much fun to have in that class.
Thank you.
It's great to have someone who's also comes with a beginner's mind. I mean, I know you've been doing this for a while, but who everything is so new to them. You know, that's what's wonderful. You know, when you're doing this for a long, long time, you get a little bit more jaded. So,
Are you jaded, Hannah?
this is off too.
Yeah, I got them
Yeah.
off.
Man,
I'm
I was
free.
saying something's different.
Yeah.
That's
I'm a
what's
free
changed.
bird.
There you go.
I can eat popcorn now. and gum and all that stuff that I couldn't have before.
You know what? I think that's why I never chewed gum ever. I've never. No.
Not
I
a
think
big
it's because I had
gum person.
braces maybe earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I stopped eating it.
I'm going to play one more song.
You want to take with me?
All right, this one is called. Oh, somebody asked how we pick the songs. Aaron picks them. Basically, Aaron looks for a range of stuff. Depending on the topic of the show, Aaron will look for, here I am, stuff that he feels is appropriate for the topic of the show. So there you go. I have nothing to do with the choice of music.
And which one is this?
This is called Stop the Rain, and here is the lyric sheet. Hey.
What I would say is that you have a good map here, but I think you need a better story. I'm not actually. Your first line is, "Do you remember how the story goes?" And you don't really tell me a story. You all I know is. You had a broken heart, and now you don't. And hopefully it won't rain, and you want to stay with this person. But there's not a lot of detail. Now, I know that when you're writing for film and television, you want to be a little bit more general, but you need to still tell a story. And there's not a story. So you need to take a perspective. You need to tell me, like, what happened here. It's, why did you have a broken heart? Why did it end with him? Just where has he been? Where have you been? How long? I mean, I don't have any details at all of what this is about. So I would write a story. I thought you went into your chorus really well. You had your verses, and then you went into that chorus. Your verse, the pre-chorus and the chorus, musically.
Nice lift into it.
Really nice lift into it. I think the chorus it needs to be developed a little musically, but I loved how you got into it. You're there. It could actually be maybe a little shorter. And then and speaking about the music is that it was all sounded really nice, but emotionally I didn't connect to it. When I'm listening to music now, especially if I'm thinking placements, and because that breaks you more than anything else, film and TV these days. It's like I'm thinking, well, what scene in the movie is this? And it's just emotionally, it just didn't connect me. So again, you have a really good map, but I think when you also get the story, because again, the story now is, well, let's hope it doesn't rain. Please don't
Right.
stop it raining, and that's all nice, but there's nothing supporting it. So when you get that story, that will also help the melody, because it's not sure if it should be a little happier, or a little sadder, or a little bit emotional, a little bit of, you know, it's kind of like ambiguous right now.
I felt like she was a very competent, maybe even a very good singer. She had a nice
Yeah.
quality to her voice.
Absolutely.
She was hitting the notes. There was no emotional connection to the song.
Yeah.
It was almost
that's
like a
the
lounge
story.
act,
Right.
you know?
But
And I don't mean that in a negative way. Please don't
No.
send nasty letters, but it didn't deliver anything from in
No.
here. The soul.
And the story is, you know, you can either say, I had lunch with my sister last week at Houston's and we had a nice meal, or I can tell you, listen, my sister's, this is what she's going through, and I can give you details
Right.
about what's going on, and you could go, oh my God, I'm going through the same thing. Really, let me help. Then you're connecting something, okay?
I
But-
once choked on a chicken bone
But-
at Houston's.
Did you really?
There's detail.
Wow. Oh my God, there's detail for you.
And of course, it was when the
And
person
he lived.
I did. The person that I was having dinner with got up to go to the restroom, and I took a bite. And went, it luckily came out on its own. I once choked on an M&M in a hotel room and had to Heimlich myself over the desk chair. That was fun. Anyway, enough detail about my life.
You get to go home with him.
It's gonna be a good car ride.
Yeah, I guess it's
All
not
the
private.
things I've choked on.
Yeah.
Wow, an M&M.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I quickly learned, don't
Yeah.
do this with M&Ms where you chuck them in like one at a time.
time.
No, bad, very bad.
Okay.
Take the whole bag.
Okay.
Um,
So
yeah.
again, I mean, on something like this, I'd say rewrite. That's where the hits are. Go rewrite. Go rewrite. Go rewrite. You've got a great map here. Go make it into something. You know, this is like a chocolate cake. Go put icing on it. Go put, you know, flowers
I
on
had
it.
such a great question a couple of minutes ago before I went into M&M land,
Oh.
and now I lost it. Oh well.
Emotional connection, film and TV.
I think it was while we were listening to the song. Was it about being dated and genre? I want to bring people into this, not only this decade, this year, right now, today,
Mm-hmm.
because the stuff that we hear on radio today got signed 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
So
Right.
people need to be thinking down the road 18 months, 2 years, 24 months. But yet they're generally writing to that decade in which they fell in love with music. Do you have any method for helping people break out of their decade?
Only listening to other music, I think.
But
You
yeah,
know,
we
I
talked
mean,
about that
we
before.
talked about that. Yeah.
Is there?
They have to be willing. They have to be willing.
It's
to
so
do
easy to say, "Oh, that stuff today sucks," so it bails them out of having
But, you know,
to do
stuff back then sucked too.
To somebody,
I mean,
yeah.
We just didn't get to hear it because we didn't have the internet. You know, it's like there was just much sucky music back then.
it. Oh, and our parents thought the stuff we loved sucked. So yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same perspective.
It's right.
But I mean, there are different melodic intervals now that make things sound contemporary. There are different rhythmic patterns that make things sound contemporary. And one of the reasons I had Hannah do the show with me and play a bunch of like indie pop stuff that is on the charts was to show our audience that they are totally capable of doing that. It's only a 20% maneuver to go from what James Taylor was doing in the late 60s and 70s to what the Lumineers are doing now. Or maybe that's not a good
course.
example, but
Mumford and Sons, all of those.
Yeah.
Philip Phillips, absolutely.
yeah,
The thing is that if this is a business, and if you want to be successful, there
Yeah.
are certain things that you're going to have to do, and you're going to have to be professional about them. You know, it's like you're going to have to
Right.
go and figure out that if you want to write for Britney Spears, there's a whole other sound. If you're going to write for film and TV, you're going to have to do homework there. I mean, there's homework to be done, but you have to know what your goal is. You have to know what you want, and then how to get there. You have to put a plan in place. You can't just think that it just happens, and I think that's what most people think. It's
Right.
like, well, I'm a songwriter and it's a God-given talent, and this is who I am.
I'm
And it's
gonna
like,
get discovered.
Well, that's all wonderful, but if you want a paycheck and you want to cut and you want to play with there's a lot of competition out there. Absolutely.
Why are musicians so averse to making money or selling their product? I hear that all the time. I had a conversation an hour before he got here with a guy who's unbelievably talented. I heard him over the weekend and was blown away. Called him up and he said, look, I got to be honest with you. I am the world's worst business person. I wouldn't tell anybody that.
Well, I wouldn't either. And if he is the world's worst business person, then my advice to him would be, then stop it. Then
Yeah.
stop being the world's worst person.
Right.
There's not that much that you have to do to become a good business person. Okay. I mean, the business makes it like, oh my God, but there's really not. But you have to arm yourself, or go hire somebody. Go hire a business manager. Or
Yeah,
something.
then you don't know if you can trust them. By the time you break them in and learn that you can trust them, it's all over. But I mean, yes, in a perfect world.
Right.
But
But see, the thing is that the buck stops with you.
Yeah.
And if you're not a good business person and you don't want to pay for somebody, then the choice is you either keep complaining about it or you do something about it. And the people that stop complaining about things and do things are the people that usually succeed.
Yes.
Because the words, oh, I can't do it, oh, it's a struggle, oh, I'm never, it's like, well, it is for all of us. It's just, we tend to you have to get past that. You
Let
have
the
to
words sink in and convince you
Right.
of...
And words
yeah.
are very powerful, and this is one of the things that we talk about in my class, at how powerful words are
Mm-hmm.
and how they can change things. If I sit here and tell myself I'm stupid and I can't do anything, I'm stupid and I can't do anything.
Mm-hmm.
But if I tell myself, well, Judy, of course you can do that. Look at all the years. Then I go do it. I mean, that
You
it's
auditioned
just,
for for X Factor.
There you go. I auditioned for X Factor.
That is amazing to
I
me.
mean, look at it. I mean, have the image of a child that is yelled at every single day of their life. Okay.
There's one right there.
Think of the energy and the disease and all of that stuff. Think about a child that is given love and happiness and encouragement all their life, and look at them blossom. Okay, it's easy as that.
Yeah.
So we have to put people in our place, people in our path. We have to put tools. We have to put in our path to help us along the way. We are the masters of our reality. We can create anything we want. Okay.
Yes.
So if we can create anything we want, then let's do it. I mean,
this is-
all there is to it.
I can't believe you're saying this, because it's my favorite thing about owning this company is I proved to myself that just by getting up every day and working hard, and there were nights where I would sit. I do remember the night, sometime in year one, sitting there at like 1:30 in the morning, having gotten up at 6 and started working, and tears were streaming down my face, and I remember feeling a tear go between my fingers and thinking, oh crap, if it hits the keyboard, I can't afford $59 for another keyboard.
See, there's a lyric right there.
But I got up the next day and did it over again. I just kept doing it over and over and over. And I've always said that the last guy off the field wins the game.
Right.
You know,
And-
if everybody else quits and goes home.
And you had an imagination. You imagined
What this-
what this could be,
Yeah.
and you didn't stop until you had built it.
Right.
And that's the thing, is that everything, we can do anything you want. You just have to imagine it.
And you know what? Keep a list.
list.
When I started Taxi, over on my shelf, I've got, 21 years worth of spiral-bound notebooks.
Oh.
The first one has a list of everything I had to do before I could open the doors and say, it is
Right.
now a business. And I tried to write them down in the order in which they made sense, and then checked them off one by one. And I got to the bottom of the list. There was nothing more I could add. And I said, okay, today is the first day it's a business.
Oh, nice.
And it worked.
Nice.
So there you go. Make a list, check it twice.
Yeah. So that's my word. I'm sticking to it.
Yeah.
Well, what, you want to add something,
Sorry,
Junior?
one thing you were... Hannah, my name is Hannah. You're just... Oh, I get it.
I call you Junior affectionately.
Oh, I thought you said Judy. I was like,
No,
what?
Junior.
Okay,
I've been calling
Junior,
you Junior
gotcha.
since you were a little kid.
I am a junior. I see what you did there. Okay.
Son I never had.
So, no, what my dad was saying though about like writing the list of things to get to his goal, more or less, you know.
Yeah.
That's actually like a very good point. I was talking to someone about that the other day. Is that like as an actor, you know, write the 10 shows you'd want to be on and work around that. As a songwriter, last night I couldn't fall asleep. I wrote 10 people that I would like die to co-write with, and said, you know, like, don't listen to just the artists that you like. Listen to the stuff that you like. You know, find that goal and find the steps that it takes to get there. You know
Who
what
are
I
some
mean?
of the writers you'd like to write with? Do you remember any?
Well,
Or do-
Nicola Bedingfield was one of them.
Okay, and you've written with
Crossed that
her.
off my list.
Yeah.
Cara Diaguardi was the writer I'd like to write with. Who's the Antonina Armato? Like, Kevin James, all the Rock Mafia people. Those are the kind of artists that I listen to.
The fact that you're 16 and you even know who Antonina is
And you
means
can
something.
pronounce her name.
Yeah. Right.
Who was the other one? Carl Falk. He does a lot of like the One Direction stuff, but he does tons of other stuff too.
Yeah.
They all do other stuff. So not only does it open your eyes to the writers, the people that are creating the music that you want to write like, but there's a whole world beyond that, and so it opens my mind.
And you're putting together things in your toolbox, as I call it, what you want and what you need. What you want is, I'd love to co-write with all these people. I'm going to put this in my toolbox because if it comes around, yay! I'm going to keep working on that.
Yeah.
Because all you have to do is, if you know you want to write with Cara, then the next opportunity that you get to, if you meet her or you get to talk or whatever, you have it all planned out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Instead of not knowing that that's what you want, and then having the opportunity come up and going, oh shoot, I would have loved to have talked to her about co-writing. I didn't even think about that. So being prepared is half of it. It's like I said, it's like getting off of American Idol and then going, okay, what song should I sing and who am I? And, you gotta start before.
If you can't see it, you can't be it.
Yeah.
Really quick Cara Diaguardi story, and then we're out of here. About a month ago or so, my email got hacked, and Cara's in my address book. And I get a phone call from her. She called me on my cell and said, Lasco, are you okay? The email said that I had been mugged in the Philippines and didn't have my wallet, didn't have my cell phone. Please send money. And Cara actually called me up and said, I answered the phone and went, hello, because it showed up blocked. And I said, who is this? She goes, it's Cara. And I said, Cara as in Diaguardi? She goes, yeah. I said, hi, what's up? She goes, are you okay, Lasco? And I said, I'm fine. Oh, my email got hacked. And she goes, all right, you don't need money or anything? And I said, no.
Oh, my God,
I said,
that's so sweet.
It gets sweeter. I said, what are you doing? She said, just walking into our house with our brand new baby. And I said, let me get this straight. You're coming home from the hospital with your brand new baby, and you saw this on your phone and bothered to call me to make sure I wasn't mugged in the Philippines? She goes, yeah. That's a good friend.
Aww.
Did she have a baby, or
She had a surrogate.
Oh,
and they had
gosh.
just gone to the hospital to get the baby from the
that's
surrogate.
So wonderful. I'm so happy for her.
I know. And walking the baby literally over the threshold of the house, and she called.
So sweet.
I know.
Oh, my
so
God.
anybody who ever said anything nasty about her after she was on American Idol,
Oh,
bad people.
Bad people. Yeah, no, are you kidding me? That
She is
took a lot
true-
of guts.
Yeah,
to
she's
do.
a true
She
blue
did.
friend. Yeah, and then she went on
Absolutely.
Broadway and did Roxy in Chicago.
Get out! I so want to do that. She went and played Roxy on Broadway.
Yes, and got rave reviews.
Wow, I had no idea.
See, now that's getting out.
I'd be busy.
Yeah,
That's amazing. That's
and
fantastic.
she's wealthy. She doesn't need to work again for the rest of her life. She's made a fortune. She sold her catalog as well.
Right.
So she's
yeah.
Anyway,
when you're that wealthy, you get to do whatever you want. So there is.
But to get rave reviews about doing Roxy,
Well, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And she's great. She's a great singer.
She is a great singer.
Yeah.
Anyway,
She just, unfortunately, when she wanted to be an artist, it was in the industry of like,
Yeah.
you're a songwriter, you're not an artist. How it was all that. So, yeah, she's great though.
Yep.
Cool.
I
That's a
absolutely
great
adore
story.
her.
Great story.
It was great having you back. We have to do
Thank
this
you.
like
Thank you
twice
so
a
much.
year instead
Well, I
of once
really
a year.
appreciate your testimony. Like,
Well, it's true. I'm not going to. These guys know I won't lie to them. So go check out Judy's site, judystakee.com.
Yes, absolutely.
And she's got
Yep.
a Facebook page, Facebook/Judy Stakee, right?
Yep.
Or Facebook.
The Judy Stakee Company.
There you
Something
go.
like that.
And then we've got my own daughter, living proof that it works.
It works.
Seriously,
Oh, yes.
she grew up a lot, and you helped a lot with that. So
True
thank you.
story.
I mean, grew up as a songwriter,
Yes.
and yeah.
Thank
so
you.
There you go.
Thanks. Bye. Mwah.
Bye, you guys.
Bye.
See you next week. Robin Frederick will be here next week. Until then,
wow.
we bid you
More music.
adieu. Yes, really excellent music, too, I might add.
Oh, that's a really